about a new series, and we're focusing on school supplies. We're focusing on actually reusing and reusing, so recycling. Sorry, I'm like the planes are distracting me. But reusing and recycling those school supplies. All right, we're going to focus on backpacks today. It's the first video in our series about what school supplies to buy your teens, let alone what school supplies you actually need to buy every year instead of just the ones that, hopefully can be reused and even used for many, many years. Okay, so I am curious, do you buy your teens new things every year? Or do you all, as a family, try to only buy what's absolutely necessary? So let me know down below where you are on this idea of reusing school supplies. And while you're doing that, I would love to talk with you and your teen one-on-one through a free consultation. So there's a link in the bio for us to do that after the video. So let's talk about backpacks, all right? There are three things that I really encourage your teens to consider when buying that backpack that you're hoping is going to last more than just one school year. So, number one is really thinking about the size of that backpack. Okay. There are hundreds, thousands probably of different brands, different types, different styles, different materials that your teen can choose from when picking a backpack. So, that size is going to matter. Okay, does your teen need a whole bunch of pockets? Does your teen need one that goes on the back or like on the side or like a little knapsack almost? Okay, we really want you and your teens to think about this. Okay, part of the reason those backpacks don't make it very long is if your teen's stuffing too much stuff into that backpack. Okay, so that's why it's important to know the size. One of my absolute favorite backpacks that I had in high school and then I used in college was pretty amazing because it had lots of pockets, which is something I needed and loved for organization. We can talk about that more if you have questions. But the thing I really loved about it is it had a zipper that gave me like 2 or 3 inches more. Like it was literally like just enough for my computer, just enough for a textbook. And it was only, as needed kind of thing. Literally there was a zipper that went around like the whole edge of the backpack. And then if you undid it, like I said, it kind of stretched out. Probably made the backpack a little weaker, a little more susceptible to tearing. But at the same time, if I just need a little bit more room for one more notebook folder, but like I said, really like a textbook, it was perfect. Okay. So when you get ready to buy that backpack, have your team really talk about and decide what's going in that backpack, what's being carried. Is there going to be another bag needed, like a duffel bag, like a sports bag, something for like gym class or for sports, for different athletic things? Okay. If those things are not going to fit the backpack, we have to have a plan. But if you buy that backpack and then your teen's like, oh, nothing fits, well, then we've got a problem. Okay. So definitely have a discussion, have your teen maybe even, as soon as we bring the backpack home, or maybe even better, as we're school supply shopping, if your teen's going to be putting a trapper keeper in there, if your teen's going to be putting 4 different books and shoes and whatever, try it out sooner rather than later and before we take the tags off, okay? Or maybe before we leave the store, okay? The other thing I want you to think about is, the price and the quality of that bag. Again, I could definitely do some research just like you can about what brands are the best brands. For me, it comes down to how your teen's going to use that bag, how well it's going to be treated, which we're going to talk about here in a second, what all goes into that bag, but then the materials matter too. Okay. Again, thinking about personal experience, my mom had a backpack that had a leather bottom. Like it was actually leather and it was amazing. I got her through college. It got me through at least 4 years of school. And the part that died when it eventually died was not the leather bottom. Okay. So definitely think about that when you're deciding how long is this backpack going to use? How many school years is my teen going to actually want to use this, need to use this? Think about, okay, was it made durable enough? And again, it's not always about the name brand. Sometimes it's about the quality. Sometimes it's about the price tag because sometimes, quality and price do go together, but sometimes you're paying for the name and it's not the best backpack. So definitely do your research. Think about how that backpack's made. And again, remember how it's going to be used. So one more thought here for you about backpacks and helping your teen make sure that they're good for several years if that's something you want to do, which I'm all about. Okay, definitely as a study skills tutor, as the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring, I want your teens to have the right supplies for them based on their learning style. And I want those school supplies, like backpacks, to be used for as long as possible. So if you're watching here on Facebook, if you're watching here on YouTube, thank you so much. Be sure to follow, be sure to subscribe, because there will be more videos about more school supplies that you can reuse and recycle. So let's talk about how your teen is going to treat that backpack, because that's going to make a big difference, let alone your teen's interest in this backpack. Okay, because I haven't said this yet, and it's kind of a big caveat here to this idea of reusing a backpack. I will wholeheartedly agree that if your child has a backpack in kindergarten that, is pink and sparkly with some cute cartoon on it, and your teen, or tween, I should say, once we get to the end of elementary school, we're no longer interested in that, it makes sense to get a new backpack. Okay. And obviously, sometimes too, backpacks for kindergartners, a lot smaller, more kind of fun than usable. So as your child gets older, again, that might be a good reason to get a new backpack. But from the elementary to middle school kind of transition, again, if it's very kiddish, I could see why that might be worth getting a new backpack. But if we're going from like middle school to high school, to me, very good option, very real possibility if planned correctly, that backpack could at least last 1 or 2 more years in high school. Okay. But got off track a little bit there because that was a caveat that I'm like, we should probably talk about that. But how your teen treats that backpack is going to have a direct impact on how long it lasts. If your child decides to do, two-strap backpack, the normal, to me, the typical backpack, but only ever uses one strap, to me, not comfortable and much more likely to lead to your teen ripping that strap. Okay. And if your teen maybe has to have that backpack at all times at school, like there's no lockers, that's very different treatment than that backpack constantly be stuffed into a locker every day, possibly multiple times a day. Okay. So definitely think about, is my teen careful with this stuff? Will my child actually care for this backpack, or is it just going to be ruined because he's constantly kicking it, dropping it, dragging it around, whatever? Okay. Because again, I think about things like the bus, things like, if it's getting dropped outside on like, I don't know, the grass, because we're waiting for you to come pick them up, mom. Again, all goes into how your child's going to treat that backpack, because if it gets treated better, it's going to last better. But yet, at the same time, going back to the quality, going back to price, what it's made of, higher quality backpacks sometimes can take more abuse. All right. So those are what I wanted to share about backpacks. Definitely, if you've got questions, you got comments, drop them below. And do know, in case I didn't say this, if you had questions when I was talking about the size of the backpacks, I always recommend that the laptop, that the tablet, the whatever electronic like that goes in the backpack. It's just safer for the backpack, less likely to be forgotten, left behind, and definitely not scratched up. Okay, or likely to get hurt. And if the chargers are in the backpack too, because that's where the computer is, the tablet is, again, better for everyone. So thanks so much for watching. Remember, would love to talk to you and your teens more, because we just scratched the surface here on school supplies. There's so much more that goes into school, into learning, and we haven't even talked about study skills. So if you want to help your teens love to learn by teaching them how to learn, let's meet for free consultation at the link in the description. Pick a day, pick a time, and I'd be happy to talk to you and your team. So see you soon for our next video. Bye, mamas.